copies of all the tests, pre-tests, and practices. You've put them in folders in your Google Drive, and they're exactly the way you want them, and they're going to last you for years and years and years. You're ready to go. Now let's look at what these are going to look like to you, the teacher, and what they're going to look like to your students when they take these. I'm going to open the Northeast States folder, and right away you'll notice that they have 3 different looks. There's the practice tests, they look one way, the pre-tests look another, and then the post-tests are over here and they have their own look. I'm going to look at the pre-tests first, and we'll look at some of the aspects of those. But as a disclaimer, I actually don't give the pre-test to my students in 4th grade because honestly, they don't know their states yet. So it's not a great use of my time. However, if you have students who do have some knowledge of these states, particularly if you work with older students, this can be really useful information to have because it can help you design your lessons and make some tweaks based on, the kids that might know it already or not know it or just know a few of them. So let's take a peek at these. As you'll see from the code we did before, MC means multiple choice and FIB means fill in the blank. And these will show up if you just hover over the title there. You'll get to see the whole title. Let's start with multiple choice. This is what you'll see as a teacher. And there are 2 sections here. There's questions and responses. And as I show you these, a lot of these are going to have responses already because I've been testing them out a lot to make sure they work correctly. Within the responses, you'll see summary, question, and individual. Summary is really useful if you're doing a pre-test because it can show you what the students know, like in general, what they're getting right and what they're getting wrong as a class. So for example, you might look on here and discover that they know all of the New England states, but they're getting really mixed up with, let's say, New Jersey and Delaware. They're getting those 2 confused. So that can be useful as a way to tweak your lessons a little bit. You can also go through and look individually from student to student. Now here there's just 1 response, but if I had, let's say, 20, I could use these arrows and go from student to student to see what they got right. I can also get rid of, that information as well. So you can get rid of that. But I want to look at what the students are going to see. So if I go up here to the right on that eyeball, where if I hover over it, it says preview. If I click on that, right away I'm seeing the student view. So they have to enter their name here. Let's say this is Ron, because I'm such a Harry Potter fan. And they have to answer this, by the way. If they don't, it won't let them go on. You'll see here the little red asterisk and required. So this is great because you're not going to get any more of those no-name tests. They have to answer. Haha. All right, so here we see these are our typical multiple choice kind of questions. I'm going to go ahead and just select the top one on each so you can see what it's going to look like when they get some right and some wrong. I'm also going to let's skip this one here. I just want to show you what happens if the student tries to skip a question. Also, they can only pick 1 at a time, so you won't have them accidentally pick 2 answers. So here we go to the end, top choices. Now, when I click submit, watch what happens. Right away, it goes back to the one they skipped and tells them they have to answer it. So now, when I click submit, I get this page and it tells the student you're done. And later on, I'll have a video that shows you how you can actually organize this so you can have a different message there if you choose. But for now, it just says your response has been recorded. So you, meanwhile, the teacher, this is your view. And now you see all of a sudden you've got in responses, you've got a new response. So if you're working with a class of, say, 20 students or 30 students, it will say 20 or 30 there. And you can go through them and you can look at the summary or you can look individually. You can also download this information in Google Sheets, and which is just like Excel, and it will automatically download to that folder. So if I go here, just a typical Google Sheets form. I can hide different parts of it just like I could in Excel. This one, by the way, it says last name. I used to have last name on there, but it was getting really, it was messing up the form a little bit. So I can hide that column. Yeah, there's a lot of neat things you can do. You can organize it by first name, by last name, whatever you want to do. And then it automatically goes into that folder. I don't particularly want that, so I'll drag it into my trash. If I want it later and change my mind, I can just hit that green icon again. Let's look now at the practices. This is where it gets really interesting. So now is where they can practice either fill in the blank or multiple choice. And here you'll see that B that we talked about in the earlier video. That means, see the B at the end of each one of these? That means that this is a test or a practice for your typical student, meaning it shuffles them, each test, each time. However, you might have students that cannot handle the shuffling right now, that they need things in a logical order. If that's the case, you want to give them one of these A tests because it's always the same order. I'm going to go ahead right now with the B fill in the blank. And I'm going to click preview. I'm going to write the name in, so we'll do Harry. Now on this, you'll see your directions say, once you have correctly named the state with correct spelling and capitalization, the red border will disappear. That will make sense in a minute. This means you got it right. If it stays red, it's not right yet. So if I click on this and I start typing, you'll see that red border will appear. So connect, cut. As soon as I hit that T, it goes away. However, if I spell it wrong, let me try it again. Let's try it Connecticut, like that. The capital. It's not going to let me go on. Or, even if I go to another one, if I hit submit, it's just going to tell me to go back. It won't give me any kind of score. So this is giving the student immediate feedback. Now it's okay. If they did it without correct capitalization, it won't let them go on. So it has to be capitalized. Let's see if I can do it right myself. There we go. It has to be capitalized and spelled correctly for them to be able to go on. So it's giving them immediate feedback, letting them know if they've got if they've learned it wrong, it's letting them know right away. If I go to this one, we've got New Hampshire, and so on. So you'll go to the end, and when you're done, you can get a score. In fact, let me just go ahead and do this. I'll fast forward through this part so you don't have to sit through it. All right, now I'm going to hit submit. It will give me the score, which should be all right because I've gone through it. The only odd thing here is that if I go back, let's say I submit another response. Take 2. The only odd thing here is if I write Vermont here and I get there, I can do extra letters. So the form's not set up to make that incorrect. It's unlikely your students are going to do that though. But if I did do extra letters, it would tell me in the score that I got that one wrong. So they can check their score and it will let them know how they did, but basically they should know already how they've been doing. All right. By the way, too, in the product, there are word banks. So you'll see these ones here are full page. There's a lot you can do with these. You can put them on colorful cardstock and then you can laminate them. And then kids can use dry erase markers with these so that you can use the same ones year after year. You can print them on just regular paper and they can do it that way. You can print the small ones here. And these ones are ones that have check boxes. There's also ones where they can just cross them out if they want. So these ones are going to work a lot better, for example, for most of your students who, let's say, are on IEPs and they need to have a checkbox with their tests. That's part of their plan. These will work really well for that. But other than that, these are identical except for the checkboxes. So you can have them use these as they're practicing if they're getting the spelling wrong. All right, let's go now to the multiple choice. So the multiple choice doesn't give them feedback after each particular one. What it will do is tell you at the very end how you did on your test. So let's say, again, whoops, I'm not in the student's view. Here we go. So let's say I'm animal. And I go ahead and I pick the top choice in each. Now it's not showing me that red border, but what it will do at the end is give me some options for immediate feedback. I click submit. I can view my score. I can see what I got wrong and what the correct answer is. I'll see what I got right. And then I can go back and I can try it again, submit another response. So I can do this again. So animal, take 2, wants to go through and say, okay, I figured out the ones I got wrong. I think I can do it. He can try it again and see if he does any better on this. So these practices can work really, really well for homework assignments if you want them to study this way. It can work well for RTI time if they just need a little bit of extra practice. It can be morning work. They can work on it during quiet time. Whatever works in your classroom, these are really great because they don't need you to give them the feedback. It's all on them. You know, the computer's doing everything. So that's why I love the practices so much. I think any time that our time is freed up so that we can work with the kids on skills they really need help with us on, I think that's a win for everybody. All right, the tests are very similar to the pre-tests. You'll see the difference here is that you have the A-B option, where I don't put that there because, you know, a pre-test is just, you know, quick and dirty. You just want to get it done. These ones give you a few more options for your students. So let's say I've got a student on an IEP and they really have trouble with spelling right now. That's not something we're working on with them. We just want to know, do they know the states or not? So I'm going to go with multiple choice A. I'll click preview there. I'm going to write Miss Peggy. And she's going to try this out. So she's not going to get the feedback on this because this is the final test. As a teacher, you can decide how you want to give this back to them, but it's not going to give them immediate feedback. In another video, though, I will show you how you can change this so that they can get the feedback if you want. All right. Okay, and as a teacher, you'll look here, you'll see you've got some responses. And again, you can do the summary, you can do the individual and see how people did. So that's about it for what your students are going to see and what you'll see. Like I said, you can download information in an Excel spreadsheet and use that. That can be really useful for conferences as well. And if your students' parents have access to their Google Chrome, they can see right away how their kids are doing on practice. You know, this is something you might choose to go over at back to school night. So there's a lot of options here. Again, this is just the states. It's the same with the capitals and the abbreviations. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at katrina@suburbansnowhite.com, and that's Katrina with a K. And I'll have a couple other videos here if you want to go a little further and learn some more. Have a great time. Bye.